Before yesterday, one important interview took place there between Major Dalim and Ilias, the journalist. There you have heard a lot from Major Dalim. He talks against Bongo Bundu. He tells how he has killed and how he has been motivated and how he has found Bongo Bundu corrupt or whatever. So how can you understand who is telling the truth, who is telling the right thing? It's very complex because so many people are in favor of Bangabandhu, so many others are against Bangabandhu. So you can't guarantee anything that you have watched or anything you have heard from. So what is important is your philosophy. If you do not have philosophy, if you do not have philosophical bent, philosophical insight, it's very tough for you to understand because one person is telling something, the other person is telling exactly opposite. When you're talking to your friends, mixing with them, you misunderstand your friends. Sometimes you hear from your friends that have manipulated you. What is your friend is not what told by your friends. Very difficult when you are with your husband, with your wife. It's even tough. Even when you are always with him or her, still you can't understand because you understand Socrates, as I always talk about him, he was killed legally. He was sentenced to death and it was executed, and he got the sentence at around 70 years or 71 years of his age. What the world knows is that he was such a kind person. He was such a great person, such a great philosopher. But he was killed. Very few people understood that he was a good person. Plato understood he was such a genius person, and he wrote dialogues, yeah, between him and Xenophon and some other stuff. That's how we understand who Socrates was. But in his lifetime, it was not possible. Lalon Fakir, such a great Sufi giant, literature, such a great philosopher, but we did not know when he was alive. So it's very difficult when somebody dies. We usually understand what kind of person he was. Even when Bangabandhu was dealt with by so many people, still you see there are opposite words. Someone is in favor, someone is against. So how can you understand? It's the manipulation by your philosophy. You have to learn philosophy. When you read a book, you read a page. When you're reading or at the same time thinking, when you are walking down the road, you also see a lot of things and you have to think. So thinking and thinking and thinking makes you develop philosophy. I have a lot of Facebook posts that I have written in very short way, lot of ideas. They have been discussed in my videos. I have made videos out of those discussions. So what happens? If you go through these, if you go through those videos, you can improve your philosophical insight. I don't understand whether you need it or not, but in cases you need it. A woman has been cooking for a long period of time, but still can't make the food tasty, can't cook the food in very short time. So if you are a philosopher, you can make 1 hour. If you cook for 1 hour, you can cook even a lot. A woman is cooking every day for 10 hours, but the same thing you can cook by 1 hour. Why? It's because you have philosophy. So philosophy, and if you do not have philosophy, fine, no problem, but you have to understand that you should not have comments. How can you guarantee that you're talking against Bangabandhu or you're talking in favor of Bangabandhu? How can you really understand that who is who? Because opposite words are there, in favor, against, everything is there. So Major Dalim was ferocious because he suffered a lot. He's been in exile. But how can you guarantee? Because he was involved in killing Sheikh Mujib, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib. How can you guarantee that he was not a good man? He wasn't. He was a good man. How can you guarantee? Very difficult. So every time you watch a video, you have to understand the words of somebody with via your philosophical insight. Suppose a court is running and somebody has been sentenced to death, and that man is in the jail behind the bus, and the gateman understands that he was not a criminal, he was not a murderer. But the judge has put it differently. Why? Because a judge is not a philosopher. It's very difficult to understand whether the judge was a real philosopher. How can you guarantee? That's why the judgment is based on not by on the philosophy of the judge, but based on the evidence put through, based on uh, witnesses. Some witnesses say something, but how can you guarantee that these witnesses are not right, are not telling the truth? Very complex. So to find out what is the exact thing, what you need to do is to have the help of philosophy. Once you have philosophy, you can predict it. Still, you may make mistakes, but you can go deeper and find out the mystery, the secret of something. So a judge must be a great philosopher, though it's not accepted, because even when he was a philosopher, the judgment he gives is not based on evidence or witness, then it's not acceptable. That's a problem. But still, in every case, it's important. In a village, there are a lot of judgments, a lot of katari or things like that. And what happens? Somebody who was a very, very criminal, I mean, great, I mean, torturer. Suppose he tortures his wife. But how can you understand unless you go inside the room? You can't go inside. But still, you can understand when you hear the words of the husband, how he produces his words, how he shows his emotions. So many things are there. Like in our childhood, we used to play police, police. So, who is police? Who is a dacoit? Who is a thief? So, there's something in the game that says you have to find out who is the thief, who is the dacoit, who is the mugger, who is the torturer. With the help of your philosophical insight, when somebody is asked how he says something, this has to be very much carefully manipulated by your philosophical insight. This is how we can understand. So there are a lot of people against Bangabandhu, a lot of people in favor of Bangabandhu. Very difficult. It's difficult. Even when you are a great philosopher, you say some way, some other philosopher says some other way. There are always controversies, but still, there could be a great opportunity and advantage to find out who is culprit, who is telling the truth, who is telling lies. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.